Tim Reed is the president and CEO of the Regina Exhibition Association Limited and joins me now. Tim, let's get into the details of the drive-in concert first. How is it going to work?
Well, it's going to be like a traditional drive-in for those of us that remember it. It literally is going to be south of the Brandt Center. The stage is going to be set up on the southeast side of the Brandt Center. And the cars, you'll drive in, you'll buy your parking spot in advance. It's $60 a car. And essentially, you drive in with your closest friends and your circle of friends that you're comfortable with. And you turn your radio to the right station. You'll get to listen to an amazing show with Brett Kissel on June the 20th.
So it's going to be radio-based. Will there be any speakers at all in the area?
Yeah, there will be. So there'll be speakers and screens. What you would traditionally expect to see at QCX or an outdoor show is just given the fact that we're encouraging people to stay in their vehicles to be compliant with SHA guidelines, the radio option is probably one of the best ones that exists right now.
Okay, you have to tell me, how and when did you come up with this idea?
Well, to be honest, our team did. And I think we've been talking about how do we get people back to entertainment. And so now that the government of Saskatchewan is allowing a phased recovery, and Brett Kissel was trying this in Alberta. We've got a great relationship with Brett. He said, what about doing something in Saskatchewan? And obviously, last time he played here, it was for 40,000 fans with Garth Brooks at Mosaic Stadium, and it was an unbelievable night. But he wanted to come back because that show dealt with thunder and lightning and all the storms that we recall. So this is a bit of his do-over. And you know what? It's not for 40,000, but it's for 200 cars, and we think it's a great start.
How difficult has it been for you and your staff canceling and postponing event after event?
It's been awful. I think it's been the right thing to do, but that doesn't mean that it makes it easy. When you work in the event business and you thrive off the energy of other people and coming together and buildings that are full of life, from hockey practices to concerts to football games, it really is part of your identity as a community, and it's a part of your identity as a business. And we've spent the last 100 days canceling things. And so today's an announcement about starting to do something that is traditional and it brings us back to what we love. It felt really good this morning.
Financially, can you paint me a picture of the situation at Real right now because of COVID?
It's probably the best way to say it, or the best analogy is, big buildings are incredibly expensive to manage. And no different than anybody that's running their house, you still have to pay for your utilities and your taxes and your mortgage, and you still have to pay for people to take care of things that are broken. And we find ourselves in the same scenario. And normally we have these great events, particularly in the summer months, to offset those losses. And the challenge with it is if we lose our summer months, which we anticipate that we will, we lose things like the Queen City Exhibition and Canada's Farm Show and Riders Games and the Pats playoff run potentially. So it's a very damaging time to our business, but we still have all the costs of managing the overhead of big buildings. And so at the end of the year, there's not many options that we have. We have to continue to maintain our buildings in a safe and reliable way, but we also don't have the revenue coming in to offset those costs right now.
Do you have a ballpark figure of how much you'll lose if you lose your summer months?
What we've done is our worst case scenario had estimated what happens going into year end. And the concept of that is really that we've scaled back our staff to a bare minimum. We've reduced any non-essential expenses that we as a business don't need to spend. But we actually think it takes us from what we projected was going to be $1 million in profit in 2020 to as much as a $6.8 or $7 million deficit. And really, that's doing everything we can to mitigate costs and expenses.
And finally, last time you and I spoke, you were telling me about opportunities to expand dining and hotel accommodations on the ground. Where does that project stand?
Well, it's interesting. That's actually been one of the real positives that we've seen through this process as we've had more time to invest in some of our partners and building out our site plans related to the 2.0 strategy that our board of directors and also council have now approved. We've continued to see great optimism and interest in our site. And so some folks have seen the restaurant opportunity go forward. We're in the final negotiations around a hotel opportunity. And we've seen a number of other potential lease partners come forward through this time. So as much as COVID has been a challenge, it's also a great time if you have money to spend or you're looking to finance a project that's going to take the next 20 or 24 months to build. It's a good time to be doing those projects because money's cheap. And there's frankly lots of labor to do projects that have significant capital investment.
Thanks so much for your time, Tim.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Tim Reed is the president and CEO of Regina Exhibition Association Limited.